ChristianGeekCentral.com.
Hold still! You lied to me! You lied to me! In the face, in my face. Put it in the peanut butter. In the face, in my face, in the face, in my face. In the face, in my face.
I thought you said this guy was a Christian. What is this?
Liberate tu me.
I just finished watching Supergirl, the pilot for the new TV series, and congratulations, CBS, you guys have done it. Even though you are CBS, you have somehow figured out a way to create a show that feels exactly like a show from the CW. This was rough. Let me tell you about the things that I liked about it first. I thought that the visual effects for TV were really well done. I felt that the action to talking ratio was pretty good. I guess that's about all I can say. That I like, that's good, that I can think of. I really had a hard time with this one. Now, I like superhero shows and fiction and stuff like that has all the bells and whistles and the special effects and the action and stuff like that, but I also want characters that I feel like I can relate to. And I don't mean characters that are like me and that I have things in common with, but characters that have emotional responses to situations that I can believe in, and in some way there's some analog in my life that I can relate to, you know? So maybe they're encountering a different kind of social situation than I would ever encounter, but the feeling that results from it of insecurity or fear or self-consciousness or something like that, I can relate to that, you know? On the surface, it was a very message-driven kind of show. And by that I mean it had some ideals that it wanted to put out there that it sacrificed story and character, I think, to accomplish. One of those things was a strong, female power, kind of message, about women being, every bit as strong and powerful potentially as men, and that's a message I can get behind, But when they are making it so obvious as like the central theme of the show, it gets kind of preachy. I mean, I hate watching or reading or experiencing Christian fiction, which is going to have ideas that I agree with and that obviously are going to resonate with me as a believer. I hate engaging with that kind of fiction when it's like the Supergirl pilot was, where it's like it's obviously sacrificing an engaging story in favor of some kind of a message that it wants to put out there. So whether or not I agree with the message is in this case not really the point. It's that it's sacrificing story, and it was just peppered throughout. Like I couldn't even like list off examples to you because there were just so many of like, oh yeah, you thought she was not going to be as powerful because she's just a girl, and I mean it's all over the place in that pilot. What's interesting to me is that they are working so hard to put this, female empowerment message in their script that I'm wondering if it's betraying a little bit of insecurity. Some people can take a really strong stance on something because they actually feel insecure in some way in relationship to whatever that message is. Maybe a strong female message is because actually maybe someone feels insecure and they feel less than, and so they feel like they really need to push strongly a message that counteracts what they're feeling, And I almost wonder if there's some of that going on in the writing room or the producers or something like that because of their treatment of Superman. Superman is mentioned maybe once by name, or maybe twice, once for sure. But when they refer to him, they usually say the big guy or the boy in blue or whatever like that. They try to kind of keep his name out of the picture, and it's really strange to me because in the story, Kara Zor-El in this TV series is Superman's cousin. Superman greeted her when she arrived, set her up with an adoptive family, and we never see his face, and I don't know that we ever will in this series. I'm just blown away from a story standpoint as to why Superman is not in this episode, and why he would not be a recurring character, every few episodes in a show like this. Because he's her cousin, So when I see her like puzzling over things like that, like her identity and who she is and who she should be, I'm like, Kara, you should, or Kara, which they really make a point of like kind of like battling into. Some people call it Kara. The proper pronunciation, I guess, is Kara. I've heard it both ways, but I mean, I'm thinking to myself, Kara, the only other person in the world who can relate to the specific things you're talking about being an alien and whatever, is Superman, is Clark, is Kal-El. Pick up the phone. Pick up the phone. I don't get that, and I suspect, I don't know, but I suspect. Well, we've got Jimmy Olsen, who's James Olsen. Oh, cross my fingers. I want to get to that in a second. But he, I think, is basically going to be Superman's stand-in in this series. She's not going to talk to Superman. She's going to talk to James Olsen instead. And I feel like they're keeping Superman away because they're afraid, and this is a guess, I don't know, because they're afraid that if they bring Superman on the show, people will go, dude, Superman, man, I'm so much more excited to see Superman than Supergirl. Man, what we really want is a Superman TV show. It's like at the end of the day, like maybe they know that really what people would really rather have is a Superman TV show and not a Supergirl TV show. And so I wonder if like there's some little insecurity about that. It's like, no, we don't want to do that. We want to keep, this is a Supergirl show. We want to keep the focus on Supergirl. If we bring Superman on, people might start, wanting to see him more and more, and we don't want the show to become about him. This is about Supergirl, And to me, that's a sign like you haven't figured out how to make Supergirl an interesting enough character or relatable enough character. You don't trust that the character you're giving us is going to stand next to Superman and still leave the audience wanting her and wanting her story instead of Clark's story. So, and I don't think they have created a character here that's super interesting. One thing that was really none of these characters react in the ways that I would expect people to if they were in anything remotely like the situations that they're in. And one example of that's really strange is Kara is 13 years old when she leaves Krypton, and in the scene at the beginning when we see her leaving, she was like telling her mother, I won't fail, Kal-El, I won't fail you. She was like putting on this brave face. She was this very commanding 13-year-old, and then off she goes in the rocket. She does seem a little bit, like she has to kind of will herself to do it, but she's not like, Mom! I mean, she's not like weeping because her planet's about to be destroyed. She's never going to see her parents again. I'm like, wow, she is freaking hard as nails, this girl. And then the next time we see her, she's like a bumbling 20-something that's totally insecure, and I'm like, what went wrong? What horrible parents did Clark choose for you that you went from this strong 13-year-old girl who was stoic in the face of her planet's and parents' death? What happened to must have been something in the Phantom Zone that screwed her up. So there's just all kinds of things that the characters do and the way they act. It doesn't make any sense to me. Okay, James Olsen, let's talk about that. So Jimmy Olsen is brought from Metropolis. He's a main character in this series, and this is where just a prime example of the CW-ness of this CBS TV series. Like, Jimmy Olsen, he's like that overly eager, kind of geeky kid photographer from the Daily Planet, but I guess not at all anymore. Now he comes here and is like, I'm James Olsen. Yeah, I'm James now. Just my mom and the big guy call me Jimmy. I'm James. And I smile and I pose and I know what I'm doing. Oh, man, really? The other big theme that I was seeing in this is this self-actualization theme. The greatest good, the highest goal that someone ought to have is to be who they are naturally, and that was seen in a number of lines and just the general feel of the show. It's like she's been hiding who she is and she wants to like kind of come out of the closet, as it were, and there's even like a kind of like a pro-lesbian statement very briefly in there, so I mean that kind of feeling of just be who you naturally tend to be is a very strong theme, I think, in this show. In a message from her mother from Krypton, she hears her mother say, "There is no correct path in life." Really? Okay, well then, like, frickin' take over the world, Kara. Just like rape and pillage and just have a ball, because there's no correct path in life. Okay. Always be true to yourself. That's the same as, like, follow your heart, do what feels right. It's the same thing as, I mean, there is no correct path in life, so always be true to yourself. What does that mean? What does that mean other than just do what you want to do and just be who you naturally are? Um, you know, I think Jeffrey Dahmer was probably being who he naturally was. I think Adolf Hitler was probably being who he naturally was. I think when we just default and pursue being who we naturally are, and then of course believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. Okay, and there's some worth to that. But if we set these kinds of slogans up as like our highest values in life, then we are on a path to disaster. What I would love to see is a TV show, and I think this would especially be appropriate in a superhero TV show or a superhero movie, is someone who actually wants to be better than they are. They want to be more virtuous than they are. They want to rise above their selfishness and their natural tendencies, and they want to be something greater. They recognize the flaws in their character, and they're like, I don't want to be this person that I naturally am. I want to be something better. I want to pursue something greater. I want to pursue selflessness instead of just looking inside and saying, who am I? I'm just going to let that tiger out, So, yeah, I'm not going to watch this one again. More particularly, I would just need to like hear that there's some big changes in the tone of the show. Because I don't need another Flash. Flash is already kind of difficult for me to get through in order to have those little savory golden moments that it has. I think Limitless, another CBS show, oddly enough, is the best superhero show on television right now. It's got some trappings of the superhero genre. You've got a guy who's kind of like he's got some superpowers, but yet he's keeping secrets from everybody. And during the day, he's kind of like fighting crime and stuff. There's no costumes or code names, but I would say Limitless is actually, for my tastes, the most compelling, interesting, just best quality superhero show on television. So maybe go watch Limitless instead of Supergirl, if anything that I've said connects with you. Otherwise, hey, if you're able to enjoy Supergirl, my hat's off to you. I'm jealous. I'm jealous of all the people that got to enjoy Smallville for all the years that it was on, and I couldn't stomach more than like 1.5 episodes of that show. And I so wanted a good Superman show, a good superhero show of any kind. And all these other people got to enjoy it, and I didn't. So enjoy Supergirl if able. That's it for me.
ChristianGeekCentral.com